What's up, Nebraska people? Quite an off season, right? I don't know. A lot of us are probably kind of split. A lot of us are a little bit maybe nervous, excited. A lot of losses, a lot of additions. And it's the type of add-ons that will give you endless fodder to just analyze the living shit out of stuff just to imagine what the hell it's going to look like. I mean, let's go through these additions, right? I mean, first of all, we got to start with the coaches, right? Nobody's complaining about the addition to Mickey Joseph. We got that offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple. We got that offensive line coach with, not Dominique, but Donovan Raiola. As far as players, you have guys like LSU Transports, Trey Palmer. You got Dakotas Crawford. You have Isaiah Castaneda from New Mexico State, I believe. Let's see. Special teams. You got the punter from Montana. You got a kicker from, I don't know where the hell he's from. I want to say like Georgetown or some shit. Nope, that's a long snapper. But you got credentialed punters and kickers that hopefully will fix the not special teams issue, specialists issue, and the craziest season we've ever seen. This was it. Like, this was the perfect storm. Veteran leadership, the right culture was there, the right players were there, the right depth was there, the right athletes were there, everything was there. And then, of course, we have the worst offensive line ever. In a lot of other places, but we're not going to go through that because that's not what this video is about. This video is about Mark Whipple.
We're going to do it all.
Is a steal with Mickey Joseph.
And making sure that everybody's held accountable in that room.
But yeah, all right, let's get into it. All right, first things first. When I was watching Mark Whipple's offense, I was bummed. I wasn't liking it. At all. Their quarterback was always getting sacked, which is not something we want to see. A lot of sacks. I was seeing offensive line philosophies that I wasn't liking. Very flat, 5 offensive linemen and no help. Occasionally, tweener running backs, small running backs, fast running backs. I mean, all that's the stuff that we started with, right? All that's the stuff that we started with in 2018. The whole flashy West Coast, misdirection, sexy. What's that word? Finesse, a finesse offense. And I thought the tumultuous insanity that we've gone through these last 4 years, wasn't it supposed to show us that the Big Ten isn't having it? Anyway, Frost is smarter than me. I suppose he's seeing something that he can still use with the offenses that he is 100% trusting in. All right. So anyway, I was watching Mark Whipple's offense, and it had a lot of quarterback sacks. They didn't give their tackles help much. They once in a blue moon would keep a running back in and help the pass rush, or not help the pass rush, but help the offensive line against the pass rush. And those little tiny running backs would get pushed and shoved aside, or those running backs were doing chip work. They were chipping defensive ends and blitzing linebackers, and then they would go out into the flats and try to catch passes and what have you. One thing I do like about that offense is it's very wide receiver friendly and it's very tight end friendly. And what do we have? We have good tight ends. We have really good receivers. This offense reminded me a little bit of Florida State back in the day when it was a very quarterback friendly and wide receiver friendly offense. A lot of slant routes, a lot of digs, a lot of posts, a lot of comeback routes, a lot of slant routes, a lot of rub routes, and honestly, their screen game was creative, and the screen game is nice. I like their screen game that they set up. Here's the bad news. Running game looks exactly the same. Looks exactly like what we just saw this last year. Outside of the option, which is again what we thought we were going to head, the direction we were going to head towards. And doesn't look like that. Looks like we're going to be throwing the ball on every single down. And occasionally we'll do draw plays to try to, just to make sure the defense is still defending it. I will say this. There's this double. I have seen footage of this double zone run that Whipple likes to run. It's interesting. I don't know how well that's going to fare in the Big Ten. I mean, because that's what it all comes down to, and that's the big question mark, and kind of what makes us, anybody that's paying attention, a little bit skeptical and jaded, if we will, after everything we've been through, is, that offense doesn't look like it's almost a step backwards. It's almost like, have we not learned anything? Our offensive line, tall as trees, but they just 2 hands in, and I'm just gonna lean on you. And that's not what we're hoping to see. We're hoping to see tight pulling guards, tight pulling tackles, tight pulling centers into deep gaps with fullback leads, with tight end leads, large human being leads. You know what I mean? Not tweener wide receivers trying to lead block. And I have 2 things that I see potential in with Mark Whipple, is just because of the talent that we have, and he seems like a very smart dude. He seems like a very commanding presence, which is a good thing. There's potential. There's potential for just what we have, and also what he said that I appreciate, that I don't see enough coaches doing, is he said he designs his offenses around the talent that he has. And you see a lot of coaches that just they're this is our offense, and you're just gonna have to learn it. They don't try to be malleable with their scheme to fit the type of players they have. So if that's really the case, and looking at what we have, is he going to adjust? I mean, obviously what I'm watching on Pittsburgh, is he going to adjust? Because they had killer wide receivers, killer return men, great athletes, small guys. So it's like, what, coming into the Big Ten, coming into our locker room, coming into what is he going to see, and how is he going to adjust his offense to the players we have? That gives me hope. And then that comes to this wonderful quarterback we have. We came in with Casey Thompson from Texas. And you'll see in some of these highlights, Casey Thompson, this guy. I wasn't that excited about it when I heard that he was being brought in and all the rumors circulating. Because honestly, I'm a Harbaugh fan. I really think under Whipple's offense, Harbaugh, he's got all the tools. I'm not sure if he's got it all up here. I don't know. But Harbaugh is the man. He's the man, and honestly, that's kind of why I was in a lot of ways. I was like, I could give 2 shits if we bring in another quarterback. Obviously, from the depth standpoint, we could use another quarterback. But I really feel like Harbaugh is the guy. But with that being said, I started watching a lot of film on Casey Thompson. I like that dude. I like him. He's got a very quick release. He's very erratic with his long balls, but also he hits a lot of his long balls. Super quick release. He's with his quick release, he leads his receivers well. And the dude, while he's not an Adrian Martinez, sprinter, the dude can wiggle. He's got some wiggle to him, and you can tell by his quick. Here's the thing that we need to hear. Us Nebraska fans need to hear. And I don't care what anybody says, I always loved Adrian Martinez. However, the dude made his reads as fast as molasses. Okay? And forget his lack of ball control, carrying everything like a loaf of bread, whatever.
It's funny, honestly, I feel like his mid-range game and how well he flows in the pocket and his quick release, I feel like helps him in his mid-range game and his crossing routes, which is really nice for Whipple's offense. But he's really inconsistent, I felt like, with his deep throws. Even though some of his nicer were on his deep throws.
Now, with that being said, I look at the wide receivers we have. We got Xavier Betts, we got Omar Manning, we got Oliver Martin, we got let's see, who else do we got? We got some killer tight ends. We got Alante Brown. I think Alante Brown's a special player. And here's one thing: I'm a big, huge Dakota's groovy ass name, Dakota's Crawford. I'm a big fan of that kid. Watching him run, and you'll see right here. Watch this guy. He is extremely smooth. He's physical. You can tell he's mean. You can tell he's vicious. You can tell he has a very smooth gait. He actually, when I was watching him run his routes, he kind of reminded me of how smooth Samori Toure is. He doesn't look as fast as Toure, but he's every bit as smooth and he's every bit as long. That's a good thing. You bring in that guy. You bring in Trey Palmer. into the wide receiver room that we already have. And I'm already forgetting somebody. I know we got another long, tall tree, but whatever. It's that gives me hope looking at this offense. Mickey Joseph, that dude can develop, and you can tell that guy is a very wise individual, and he has proven to develop receivers. And if he can develop some of the cats we already have, as well as some of the guys that are coming in, it's kind of a cool marriage, and seeing what that could look like. You know what I mean? You know, which contradicts everything that I was saying in terms of, you know, all right, haven't we already been down this road? What we know doesn't work in the Big Ten, but you still think to yourself, this could work. You know what I mean? You know, typically at this point, I would say that, or I would ask, you know, everybody, let me know what y'all think in terms of these new additions, because we've had a lot of them, and we've had a lot of people leave too, which, whatever. I mean, that's the free agent land that we live in now in terms of college football. Look at Oklahoma. Look what Oklahoma's gone through. You know, and they took it on the chin like it's nothing. Some things, yeah, I'm nervous. Not nervous. That's not the right way to put it. I'm dubious about. But at the same time that I'm dubious, I know we got some pretty intelligent minds in there that we brought in as far as coaches. We brought in some talent. There's a couple guys that I wish we hadn't lost that we did lose. Some depth issues that we're gonna have to figure out on defense. But overall, I mean, hey, we got some stuff to play with, guys, and it's going to be super fascinating to see how it's going to go. All I know is that I like our coaches. I like our coaches better, and we have to trust that they're going to develop right. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. This went on longer than I wanted it to. A lot of things to think about, a lot of things to touch on that I didn't realize that I wanted to touch on, or at least hint at, until I all of a sudden started yapping and editing. Anyway, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you want, leave a comment and let me know, you know, kind of what everybody thinks. You know, don't be such a pessimist. Like, it's too easy to be a pessimist. I mean, let's give objective truth about kind of like what we're seeing with all this stuff. I mean, we do know one thing that we saw from last year, that if our quarterback isn't getting sacked every other drop back, there's some big holes in these Big Ten secondaries, you know, and so for that reason, you know, you're kind of curious. You're curious to see how a lot of this stuff's going to go, assuming we can get our offensive line to play better. But anyway, I'm going to wrap that up, guys. So y'all take care and give me some love. Go Big Red.